Hello viewers and welcome to my Grand Prix blog for the British Grand Prix 2012. Certainly been an action year in the year so far. Coming to Britain, of course, complete change in the weather. It was raining every day. The Silverstone organisers certainly had a lot of trouble getting people in. Traffic backed up for miles outside the circuit. I have to say I kind of felt sorry for the organisers because there was a lot of moaning going on, but there's not really much they can do. The parking is in fields around the circuit. A lot of the fields obviously aren't under the ownership of the circuit. And so if they had let people in on the Friday, they'd have been mud heaps by Sunday. So it was important to keep the car parking free for the race. However, they did do a great job with bumper-to-bumper parking and trying to get as many people in as possible to enjoy the event. Certainly it was challenging conditions for the drivers. The race then, nice to see the sun came out on race day, has to be said. Though for British fans, I'm sure they would have liked to have seen Jenson and Lewis conditions a little worse maybe on the race day to enable those guys to cut through the field. But certainly in dry conditions, as ever, the Ferrari and the Red Bull have been maintaining their form that they showed in Valencia. So from the start then, obviously Alonso, good start, cutting across Webber, quite a harsh cut. It kind of reminded me of how Maldonado was cut across by Lewis Hamilton in the Valencia races. A lot of this zigzagging at the front this season. Solid start from Jenson. We see Kimi trying to get past Vettel, but unable, hitting that curb somewhere around turn 4, something like that. Shame for Paul di Resta, looking forward to his British Grand Prix. Knocked out early on, just a slight touch, punctured the tyre, did some damage. That was the end of it for him. And of course we see Kobayashi and Grosjean fighting. We've got Schumacher holding everyone up again, creating a little train, as he did in the Valencia Grand Prix. He's so good with car positioning. He's very difficult to overtake when he's at speed. And of course we see Perez as well, looking very impatient throughout the race. He really felt his qualifying was botched by their decision. For whatever reason, I mean, I watch it on TV, and they go out on inters when it's clearly very, very wet indeed. I often wonder what pictures these teams are looking at sometimes. It's gone out on inters. They've gone out on a circuit that's if you watch the safety car, it was absolutely torrential rain. And of course, then we have one of the main issues of the day, Perez and Maldonado coming together. And we could see Perez has been impatient for some time behind Michael Schumacher, behind Lewis Hamilton as well. But with Maldonado, that was it. He had to go round the outside down the end of the Wellington Straight into Luffield. And interesting, Maldonado is quite a divisive character. I see a lot of people saying he's dangerous, he shouldn't be in the sport, he's a bad driver and everything else. Do you know, when I saw Maldonado in 2011, I did a little mock-up of his incident with Lewis Hamilton bumping into him at Spa. Silly incident. A similar incident for him at Abu Dhabi last year, you know, when he was having a go at Mark Webber. Again, you know, you think, you know, come on, Pastor, get on with it, you know. This year, though, he's proved he's got great speed. And the win at the Barcelona circuit was World Championship material. But since then, he's had these comings together, and you know, some of them could have been avoided. Some of them, he's got a bit hot-headed. He certainly makes himself difficult to pass. But I don't think they've all been his fault this year. I think there's certainly been a racing incident in every single one of them. Do you know, Maldonado reminds me of someone else who was very similar. Someone who could drive pretty well, to say the least. And occasionally took guys out and often had similar comments made about him. And that was Ayrton Senna. See, a lot of people these days, they don't remember Ayrton Senna, some of the incidences. He would often bump into people and was often derided by some of the other drivers as a dangerous driver. And in the film, it just shows Alain Prost, and it focuses on him, that he was the only guy saying that. But Senna brought a real colour to it, and Maldonado does as well. And obviously he needs to refine his game. And not finishing races is not good enough. But he's clearly got phenomenal speed once he gets that car going properly. And he's a tough customer. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's not there to let people past. He's there to get past. He's there to let people know he's there. And if people are shutting the door on him when they shouldn't, he's just saying to them, we're going to come together then. So it makes them think twice next time. So, an interesting character, I think misunderstood. A lot of younger F1 fans, or should I say the older F1 fans, will probably remember some of the instances I'm talking about and the comparisons where Ayrton was concerned early in his career when he was a little bit, shall we say, hot-headed. But it's going to race, obviously, between Perez and Pastor Maldonado. This isn't the beginning, and it's certainly not the end of that relationship. Obviously, Jenson Button and Rosberg, both struggling throughout the race. What's happened to the form of Mercedes? Rosberg as well. We talk about McLaren. Obviously, they've completely fallen off. But what about Mercedes? Between one race and the next, they do seem to zigzag in performance. And of course, we see the little battle between Hamilton and Alonso, just for the British crowd that were there, really enjoying that. And it's just interesting. We see also a couple of overtakes I thought that were similar to the Perez incident. Was we've got Jenson and Rosberg, Webber and Alonso, all on the same corner. So you can always see comparisons of how other cars handled a similar situation. And indeed, the Valencia one a couple of weeks ago, I compared it to Grosjean Hamilton as to Maldonado Hamilton, and there are aerial screenshots that are worth looking at. So a very sensible drive from Fernando Alonso, it has to be said, out there in the lead. Webber made a good call on the tyres. Alonso probably reacted quicker than he should have, because obviously his tyres weren't going to last towards the end there. A better day for Senna. Bruno Senna is another guy who's not had a great season, has he? He's had a lot of incidents, not been as quick, but it was good to see him having a better race for a change, especially after his crash in the practice session. Stuck behind Hülkenberg with Jenson Button for a long time towards the end of the race, finally finding a way through on the final lap. That was always great at Copse. And that was great. So watching Webber win, it was great for him to get that win as well this season, and it moves him up there in the championship. And of course today it's been announced that he's going to sign with Red Bull for 2013 as well, so fantastic for him. Mark Webber was a great driver. He's not had a great year in 2011, but certainly in 2012 it's coming back to him, and I'm really pleased to see that. The guy is a determined, fierce competitor, and he loves his motor racing, all motorsport. Absolutely adores it, and it's great to see him given the opportunity in the car this season. Let's hope that goes all the way to the end of the season as well, that we don't suddenly see a fall off in performance and all the new bits going to Sebastian, that they do it for both drivers this year. One thing I thought I would notice is the Parc Fermé is quite interesting at Silverstone. They were parking the cars outside the front of the main building with their backs to the crowd, so you can actually see all the diffusers. It's one of the first times that I've seen all the cars lined up together in a row like that. Quite interesting that they handled it that way. The new building complex at Silverstone continues to grow, and it looks absolutely fantastic now. They've really done an amazing job, actually, from some of the experiences I had at Silverstone many years ago in the rain as well, back in 98. I can tell you that was a very wet day. I was there from 5 o'clock in the morning dealing with that one. But the championship's still a long way to go this season. We've got 2 more races before the summer break now, off to Hockenheim in a couple of weeks' time. That should be a good race. And then on to Hungary, which is always very difficult to overtake on, it has to be said. So it depends very much on the weather as to how exciting that race is going to be. But then it's a big break before lots more action later in the year. Now, just on Formula One, I'm going to be making another blog, which is going to update you guys on where I've been for the last couple of weeks, what's been going on and everything else, and that's going to be coming in the next couple of days. But Silverstone was a good race. Certainly weather would have mixed it up a bit more, but the track always creates some excitement. But it'll be interesting to see how the championship develops from here. We've got Fernando, we've got Webber, we've got Vettel. They're up in the lead. Can anyone come up and take it to them? Can Lotus find an extra bit of pace to win the races, to get Kimi in there as well? We'll have to wait and see. But that's it from me for now on this British GP blog, and as ever, there'll be more soon.